Hi, this is Rasika. Today I am going to present about delta sigma unlock to digital converter. So, what is meant by delta sigma unlock to digital converter? This is nothing but delta sigma is nothing but encoding the unlock signal into a digital signals. So here we are going to use an error feedback. So this error feedback is nothing but in order to avoid the distortion, I am using this error feedback over here. And next thing is we are going to find the difference between the two signals that is used to improve the conversion from analog signals to digital signals. Next, why we are going for this delta sigma modulation? Delta sigma modulation, by using this delta sigma modulation, we convert the analog voltage into a pulse frequency, and this pulse frequency method is also called as pulse density modulation or pulse frequency modulation. This pulse frequency modulation is used to represent the analog signals into a digital format like zeros and ones. In order to perform at zeros and ones, here we are using a pulse frequency modulation for representing the analog signals into a digital format. Next, we are going to see the analysis of this diagram. So, the analysis of delta sigma unlock to digital converter is, here we are going to use integrator, threshold, counter, buffer and summing interval. And one more thing, impulse. So first we are going to see the integrator. Integrator is nothing but it provides an waveform in a sinusoidal way, and it provides an integral output. The integrated output, it depends upon the product of the input as plus time. If input is V in and input is V in, then the output will be like this: V out equal to V in into T. So here we are going to see the diagram of the integrator. Resistor, capacitor, this is the feedback. So resistor, capacitor, V in, V out. So the formula of the integrator is V out, that is equal to integral. We are going to take the samples from 0 to T minus V in divided by RC dt plus C, where C is the time. So this is of about integrator. Next, coming to threshold. Threshold is nothing but it is the minimum amount of time taken to switch on the transistor or some semiconducting devices. So this is the threshold level. Here you can see the threshold level where the integral output crosses the threshold level. And next is counter. Counter is nothing but it is used to store the number of events that takes place, and it also processes the function by applying the clock signal. And next thing is buffer. Buffer is nothing but it is used to convert the high impedance signal into a low impedance signal. In order to convert the high impedance signal into a low impedance signal, here we are going to use the buffer circuit. And coming to summing interval. Summing interval is nothing but it performs the addition operation. In digital circuits, we are using adders and subtractors. For example, half adder, full adder, half subtractor and full subtractor for performing some addition and subtraction process. Next is impulse response. Impulse is nothing but it provides a square waveform. So this is impulse waveform. So here we are going to see about the impulse. Impulse is used to get a high voltage as well as high current. This impulse can be classified as impulse voltage generator, impulse current generator. So this impulse voltage generator is used for testing in power in many electronic power equipment, like in testing lightning as well as in switching gauges. And this impulse current generator, it is not only used for testing some power equipments including some lightning or switching gauges, but it is also used in many nuclear power plants for testing some equipment. Now we are going to see about the waveforms, typical waveform of this block diagram. First, we are going to pass the input to the modulator. That is, here we are going to pass 0.2 volt input to the modulator, where we get a constant output. Next, this is also an input. Here we are going to pass the impulse input to this modulator. So the impulse input will be a square waveform of about 1 volt. We will get a square waveform over here. So here we have passed a two input, that is one input and one input from impulse, and the difference between two signals we get an inverted square waveform. That is like this. We get an inverted square waveform. So the difference between the two signals we get the output from this modulator. So if first signal is of about 0.2 volt and the next signal is 1 volt, so the difference between is minus 0.8 volt. So that is the waveform we have obtained over here. And the output of this modulator has been passed to this integrator. Integrator which produces a triangular waveform which has the interval of this integral is very high when compared to this right hand side. And this passes to the threshold and to the fifth. The output node from the fifth triggers the impulse pulse. So this is the triggering part. So once it triggers the impulse pulse, the counter loop gets incremented and provides and produces the threshold, that is produces the integral output. This integral output is very large. That is the time taken of this integral is very large. When coming to the summing interval, if once the summing interval gets expired, this counter gets stopped into the buffer and the counter starts reset. If the counter values is going like 1, 2, 3, then if the summing interval gets expired, then the counter restarts and again it comes from 0, 1, 2, 3. So that is of about this. And coming to right side, here we are going to apply an input of about 0.4 volt. Here it produces a constant input, and another input of impulse input we are going to give to this modulator, where we will get a square waveform of about 1 volt. The difference between these two input we get an output from the modulator, as if here we have passed 0.4 volt and 1 volt, the difference between is minus 0.6 volt. So the slope in this impulse will be very high when compared to the left side, but the slope of this output from this modulator will be very less when compared to this left side. And because the slope is very less, the integral it goes to the output goes to the integrator, where it produces an integrated output like an triangular waveform. This will be the slope, the interval of this right hand side integral is very less when compared to the left hand side, and it crosses the threshold level at a very fast rate, and when it comes to the fifth node, it triggers the impulse pulse. So triggering takes place over here, and when coming to the integral, and it produces an integral output where it crosses the threshold at a very fast rate, so that some amount of noise can be minimized from this analysis diagram. Next, we are going to see about the practical implementation. So coming to practical implementation, here we are going to apply an input voltage of about Vin, and the current flows to the resistor from the V reference voltage. First thing, here we are going to apply a clock signal. So first we are going to give the input voltage as 0.4 volt. And it passes to the positive voltage level of about 1.0 volt, and it falls to 0.0 volt. Next, we are going to see about the impulse pulse. Impulse pulse is nothing but it is in square waveform, where this impulse pulse can be obtained by transversing this feedback loop. Once if you are going to transverse this feedback loop, we are going to obtain this impulse pulse. The impulse pulse starts from the positive life cycle and goes negative, and it follows. Next, we are going to see about R cross IC. That is, once the current flows through this capacitor, we are going to find the integral sum of both resistor as well as Vin. So if I need to represent this integral sum in voltage level, V equal to IR. So I have taken the current as IC into R. So now I am going to plot this IC into R waveform. It also follows like an impulse waveform, where it starts from positive life cycle and goes negative and positive, like it follows like an impulse pulse. Next, the output has been passed to this integrator, The integrator is nothing but it produces an triangular waveform where when it reaches below the 0.0 volt, that is threshold level, then it passes to the negative pulse. Then it produces a negative pulse and it passes to the negative voltage level. So in this integrator, the current flows in this capacitor to the amplifier output is equal to the current flows in this capacitor to the amplifier input, so that the current gets negotiated. Next, coming to comparator. Comparator is nothing but it compares with this integral. So this is the integral output. This is the integral output where it passes below the threshold voltage. Next, we are going to see is comparator. Comparator output is like this. So this is comparator output. So once if the integral falls below 0 volt, that is threshold level, it starts moving in a positive. It produces a positive peak. So it comes here, it comes below the threshold level. So it starts producing the positive peak cycle, and here it comes below the threshold level. So it starts producing the positive peak cycle. This is so about comparator. And next we are going to see is Q. Here I am use and flip flop. So the output from this D is positive, then it has been passed to this Q where it produces a positive half cycle. When the output from this D is negative, then it has been passed to this Q bar where it produces a negative half cycle. So the output of Q is somewhat delayed when compared to this comparator. This is comparator and this is Q output. It has been delayed. So the output will be like this. Delay in the square waveform. This is the output of this Q. And this constant, the constant can be generated by using sigma count, buffer and summing interval. Sigma count, buffer, summing interval. This can be generated by using counters and registers. Counters is nothing but it stores the number of events that takes place, and register, it is similar to flip-flop. The flip-flop can store 1 bit of information, while register it can store n bit of information, that is 1 to up to n. So it can store n bit of information. So by using this we can produce the count stream, and by using the count stream here we are going to combine the negative clock, like negative clock cycle with this Q, which produces this count stream. The one source of error can be eliminated by using this count stream. Here we are going to reduce the slope when compared to this Q cycle. The slope gets decreased when compared to this Q. So one source of error can be eliminated by using this practical implementation of this delta sigma analog to digital converter. Next, we are going to see analog to digital converter. Analog to digital converter is nothing but it is an electronic integrated circuit which converts the analog signals into a digital signal. These analog signals are directly measurable, and these digital signals are in digital format, like in binary format, like ones and zeros. So next thing is why we are going to use this ADC. Microprocessor can perform the complex operation only in a digitized format. In order to make the microprocessor to perform in complex operation, we are using this ADC over here. And these digitized signals are also very less susceptible. And it can be used in transducer. Transducer is nothing but it is used for converting one form of energy into another form. And it can be used in signal processing as well as in data handling. So, in order to perform more actions, we are going to use this ADC over here, and this is the ADC process. So here we are going to pass the input signal, that is U1 of t, where this is an analog signal, to a sample and hold circuit. This is sample and hold circuit. Sample and hold circuit is nothing but it is an analog device that samples the voltage at a continuously varying analog signals, and it holds some values for a constant period of time. Now I am going to draw the sample and hold circuit. This is A in, that is amplifier input. This is amplifier output. This is sample and hold. Here we are going to connect the capacitor. So once the switch gets closed, then the input voltage flows through this switch. The capacitor gets charged. Once if the switch gets opened, the capacitor gets discharged, and no charge. It doesn't pass any charge over here. This is the function of sample and hold circuit. And next thing, it passes the input to an quantization and encoding. Quantization is nothing but it is the process of mapping a large set of values to a small set of values. By using the quantization, we can round off the value to some precision. Like if we get the output from the analog signal as 7.5, by using this quantization method, you can round off this 7.5 as in 7. And by using this encoding is used for converting the analog signals into a digital format. Like by encoding, we are going to convert this 7 as an binary format. The binary format for 7 is 1 1 1. 4 to 1, so 4 5 6 7. The binary format of 7 is 1 1 1. So by using encoding method, we are going to convert into a binary format. And we will get an output of from D0 D1 to D to the power n minus 1, where here the analog signals gets converted into a digital format. So the signal will be like this. So we will get the output in a digital format. So this is the ADC process where we have used the sample and hold circuit as well as quantization and encoding circuit. Next, here we are going to see about the dual slope A to D converter. The fundamental components used in this dual slope A to D converter is indicator, next electronic switch controller, next counter, next clock, next control logic, next comparator. So this is the circuit diagram of dual slope A to D converter, where here we are going to take one condition as first thing is T is less than 0. If T is less than 0, then this S1 gets grounded and the S2 value becomes 0. So since no voltage passes through this circuit, the counter value is also 0. And second condition is T is equal to 0, so that the S1 gets closed and S2 gets opened, and the input voltage V in, it passes through the whole circuit. Since the voltage passes through the whole circuit, the counter starts counting the clock pulse. So this counter starts counting this clock pulse. For this V in, we will get T indication. That is, it starts indicating. The output will be like this. It starts indicating. So output will be V out, that is equal to V in T in divided by RC. The output of this V in will be like this. And once for the if you are going to apply the V reference voltage over here, the S1 gets closed and S2 gets opened, and the voltage level passes to the whole circuit, where again the counter starts counting the clock pulse. For this V reference voltage, it starts de-indicate. So the output will be like this. So we will get the output as V out, that is equal to V in T de-indication divided by RC. So by using this circuit diagram, we can integrate and de-integrate the waveform. Next, coming to sampling. So sampling is nothing but it is a reduction of continuous time signal into a discrete signal. It also refers to a value or set of values for a particular time or space. So this is the time. I have mentioned this green color in for analog waveform and this discrete signal as in blue color. Here, sometimes we need an oversampling. This oversampling, nowadays we are using this oversampling in analog to digital converter in order to avoid the distortion. Next, we are going to see the quantization. Quantization is nothing but it is a process of mapping a large set of values to a small set of values. That is rounding off a value. If for example analog signals we are getting some 6.5 or 5.5 values, by using the quantization we can round off the value to 5. So, because of round off the value, we are using this quantization, and it is also a non-linear as well as an irreversible process. Next, we are going to see why the delta sigma analog to digital converter for RF application. Here we are using delta sigma modulation. We are using RF receiver with relatively wide channel bandwidth for cordless as well as local area network. The RF frequency ranges from 3 kHz to 300 GHz. Next, here we are going to see the channel select filtering. The channel select filtering includes anti-aliasing filter, switch capacitor filter, sigma delta modulator, decimation filter. So this anti-aliasing filter is nothing but this anti-aliasing filter should be used before the signal sampler to restrict the bandwidth of the signal, which includes the sampling theorem. So this is the anti-aliasing filter. This part is called as anti-aliasing filter. By using this anti-aliasing filter, we can limit the bandwidth of this signal. This is a function of this anti-aliasing filter. Next, here we are going to see about switch capacitor. Switch capacitor is an electronic circuit which is used to convert the discrete into a discrete time signal processing. And by using the capacitor, we can charge a device. So now we are going to see about the circuit diagram of switch capacitor. This is V in, V out, CS, S1 and S2. So once if the switches gets closed, the input voltage it passes to this switch and the capacitor gets charges. And once if this switch gets opened, the capacitor gets discharged. So there is no transformation of charges from V in to V out. Now we are going to take the charge as Q. We know that Q equal to CV. Here I have taken the capacitor as in CS and voltage. First we are going to see for Q in. Q input equal to CS into V input. Q output equal to CS into V output. So total charge Q equal to Q in minus Q out. So Q that is equal to CS. We are going to take the CS as common into V in minus V out. So we know that Q equal to CS VF. So R equal to we know that V equal to I R. So R that is equal to V by I. By using this, we will get 1 divided by CS into F. So if for resistor it will be indirectly proportional to the capacitor as well as frequency. So it acts like a lossless capacitor. Next, we are going to see the sigma delta modulation. This sigma delta modulation is used for encoding the analog signal to a digital signal. That is why here we are going to use the sigma delta modulation. And next is decimation filter. This decimation filter is used to reduce the sample. For example, if you think you have a more number of samples, if these two samples are large, then then here by using this decimation filter, we are going to avoid these two samples. If you are going to use take decimation filter 2, if you are going to take this decimation filter 2, then even number of samples gets distorted. That is why for reducing the samples, we are going to use this decimation filter. Next, in this RF application, we are going to see super heterodyne, direct conversion and wideband IF conversion. This is a super heterodyne conversion where it is a very slow process, but this direct conversion and wideband IF conversion, it is a very fast process. And in the super heterodyne process, we are passing the analog signals to the RF filter. RF filter is nothing but here the radio frequency base gets filtered and it has been passed to LNA. LNA is nothing but low noise amplifier. In low noise amplifier, this low noise amplifier is used to reduce the weak signal which has been present in this incoming signal, and it is been passed to the IR filter. IR filter is nothing but infrared filter which is used to block the infrared light which has been passing to the light waveform, and it has been passed to the modulator and IF. IF was nothing but intermediate frequency. It is used to switch the carrier signal between the reception as well as transmission. And it has been passed and it has been band passed and it has been transmitted to the analog to digital converter, where analog signals gets converted into a digital, and here and the output has been passed to the DSP. And this is a direct conversion method where here we are not going to use any IR filter or IF filter. Directly we are going to convert the signals to a digital. This is a wideband IF double conversion method where the conversion takes place in two ways. From RF filter it has been passed to LNA and it has been band passed. Again it has been band passed and it produces a digital signal, where the output it goes to a digital signal processor. And from here, this is an anti-aliasing filter. This anti-aliasing filter is used for some rejection in this switched capacitor, as well as it also provides necessary rejection in the interference channel. And this switched capacitor filter is nothing but it is used to select the channels which is far away from this carrier, and it has been passed to this A to D converter, where the signals gets converted into a digital format, and it has been sent to a DSP. If you see here, I have used the sigma delta modulator as well as the decimation filter. Here in this first anti-aliasing filter, this anti-aliasing filter provides a necessary rejection in the interference channel, and the output of this passes to the sigma delta modulator, where it digitizes the desired channel, and this sigma delta modulator it consists of quantization noise, as well as some interference. So here we are also using a low noise amplifier. In this sigma delta modulator, if any overloading takes place in this sigma delta modulator, in order to avoid this overloading, we are using this low noise amplifier over here, and the output of this has been sent to the decimation filter. This decimation filter will filter the quantization noise as well as the interference which has been present in this sigma delta modulator, and the output is sent to this DSP. The waveform of this sigma delta modulator consists of same frequency as well as amplitude. Next, here we are going to see about modulator oversampling ratio and order selection for minimum power dissipation. Here I have used an 2-to-2 cascaded format. In this two mentioned second order modulator. So here all these are in cascaded format, where the input has been passed to the indicator. This first indicator it dominates the power dissipation, and while if you are passing to the other indicator, it reduces the power dissipation. From this we are going to minimize the quantization noise as well as interference. From this block diagram we are going to reduce the power dissipation, and this one of this cascaded block has been taken here and it has been cascaded to second order modulator, where the output has been transmitted to a distant error cancellation. Where if error has been present in this signal, it gets cancelled by using this distant error cancellation and it has been passed to the decimation filter. Decimation filter is nothing but it is used to reduce the quantization noise or some interference, or if the samples is of about more amount, in order to reduce the samples we are going to use this decimation filter, and it has been given to DSP where it also reduces the quantization noise, interference as well as some power dissipation. Because of that we are going to use this decimation filter. Next we are going to see the two-stage op-amp with capacitive level shift between stages. Here I am going to give an input of about V0. Here it consists of two input voltages like M9 and M10, where this M9 and M10 consists of more amount of current and noise. Because since this current and noise is present, in order to reduce this current and noise, here we are going to use this capacitor CSH. And one more capacitor here we are going to use this CB. The CB should be switched because in order to fix the reference voltage like VBN2 and VB01. In order to fix these reference voltages, here we are going to switch this capacitor CB. And this VBN2, it functions, that is, it is a replica of these two input M9 and M10. And this VB01, it is a fixed voltage. And by using this CSH, that is, by using this CSH, the op-amp gets shift in two stages, and the noise present in these two input can be reduced by using this block. I have mentioned this block over here. Here it consists of an NMOS as well as PMOS. By using the NMOS, if NMOS gets switched on, then PMOS gets switched off. Once if PMOS gets switched on, then NMOS gets switched off. It also, if you are going to give an input V1 to this two input M1 and M2, it consists of a current ICMFB, where this current feeds or bleeds away from this input M1 and M2. Here we are also using this capacitor CM in order to fix the reference voltage V reference as well as VCMO, where this V reference is a replica of M1 and M2, where this VCMO is a fixed voltage. So by using this NMOS and PMOS, we can reduce the power. Next we are going to see this charge pump. Charge pump is nothing but it is used to increase the charge level. For example, I am going to give the voltage of about 3.3 volt. By using this charge pump, it produces an output of about 5 volt, and it is also used to drive the gate pulse over here. I have used this input is M1 and M2. This capacitor, two capacitors like C1 and C2, which is used to charge and discharge, and this clock cycle. By using this charge pump, we can produce the voltage of up to 3.3 volt. So by using this method, I am going to reduce this power quantization noise as well as interference. And by using this method, I am going to reduce the power dissipation. And by using this method, I am going to reduce the power level. And by using this method, I am going to charge the pumps. So by using this method, by using this delta sigma converter, I have achieved 71 dB of dynamic range as well as 81 megawatt of dissipation, as well as this dissipation has been achieved by using the 3.3 volt. So this is about delta sigma analog to digital converter. Thank you.